There's a moment every morning when my backyard seems to wake up before I do. The birds start calling, the leaves begin to move in the breeze, and then I hear that unmistakable little buzz coming from somewhere nearby. A hummingbird. It's easy to miss one if you're not paying attention. While all hummingbirds are relatively small, these are definitely on the smaller side of the equation. Once again, as I've been building up the garden, I've come to realize my space is home to a territorial display that is often entertaining, and the Costa's hummingbirds are nothing if not territorial. I've grown up around hummingbirds my whole life. In Northern California, it was mostly Anna's hummingbirds that I witnessed, from nests created in my grandparents' orange tree to numerous ones lining the fence, waiting their turn at the feeders at my parents' house. The sound is unmistakable. It's not a bird call, it's the sound of a miniature helicopter approaching. The hummingbird stops in midair, wings beating so quickly they almost disappear from sight. It hangs there for a second, completely still from my perspective, while its wings do all the work. And then zoom, it's gone. I've learned over the years that if I want to watch these birds, I have to slow down. As much as I want to chase them, that usually doesn't work out. Instead, I've focused on building trust with them, being quiet, and it's surprising how many will come to me or allow me to get far closer than I would have imagined. My backyard isn't a huge wildlife sanctuary. It's just a collection of plants, flowers, trees, and a little corner of habitat to make the space attractive to a wide range of creatures. But for a hummingbird, even a small space can become an important stop. Flowers provide nectar, plants provide places to perch, insects are another source of food. And once a hummingbird discovers a reliable food source, it remembers, even for a few seasons. While Costa's hummingbirds are native to the southern part of California, their range is so narrow and specific, I never had the chance to see them in person until I moved here to Arizona. Now, having the privilege of witnessing them up close, I'm amazed at their personalities and their coloring. When one lands on a small branch, trusting me with the awareness I am not going to harm it, I take great delight in being able to study it closer, to see the shape of the body, the way the tiny feet grip the branch or wire, and how it stretches right before taking off. Plus, the most spectacular moment when a male turns his head just right to show off an extraordinary color. The male has a brilliant purple gorget around his throat, and the wing-like tips flaring out along the sides. The first time witnessing close up, I was mesmerized. From one angle, his neck looks almost black, but just a small movement of his head and the color explodes, looking as though it should glow in the dark. It's one of those moments that reminds me how much there is to see when I stop rushing through the day. I can watch a hummingbird for just a few seconds and still feel like I've witnessed something completely unexpected. When the birds visit the flowers, they become these little aerial acrobats. They hover in front of a blossom, insert that long bill, and feed on nectar. And then they move to another flower. Sometimes they hover backwards or even dart sideways. What's most frustrating for someone trying to film them, of course, is them disappearing behind a plant, only to reappear somewhere completely different. They occupy the air in a way that is far different than other birds. Every branch, flower, and open patch of sun is a part of their world. And then there are the insects. I realized a number of years ago that nectar wasn't the whole story. After all, they need protein as much as the rest of us. Still, seeing a hummingbird make a sharp turn and fly towards an apparently empty patch of air, it does look as though the bird is confused. The reality is there was a tiny insect, a gnat or a mosquito, and the hummingbird knows exactly what it's doing. For such a small, delicate-looking bird, they are surprisingly bold, and this seems particularly true for the Costa's hummingbird. I'm not sure if he's making up for his size, but that is not something I was prepared for when I first moved to this place. How territorial a male can get. One male has decided this space is his. While he might allow a few juveniles into the area, and certainly welcomes a female, another male is a potential threat. The moment he notices another mature male, the peaceful backyard becomes an aerial racetrack. They dive, they turn, they accelerate, and sometimes they seem to argue over a single flower, as though it was the most valuable real estate in the neighborhood. But eventually, everything quiets down again. The hummingbird lands on a branch and looks around. And that's when I start thinking about how much energy these little birds actually use. Their lifestyle is incredibly demanding. Hovering takes enormous energy. Flying requires constant access to food, and their small bodies have to manage all of it. That makes my backyard more than just a pretty place to watch birds. For Hummingbird, the plants I choose can become part of its food supply. Flowers are feeding stations. Trees and shrubs are shelter and perches. And even the insects living among those plants are part of the food web. Over the years, that has changed my perspective on growing plants and gardening in general. Now I think about what it provides. Does it offer flowers that birds can use? Am I growing things that flower throughout the year? Are there places where they can perch, where I can plant more things for them to perch? Is there enough variety to support insects? Can I create a space where wildlife can find food and shelter without everything being perfectly manicured? The more I watch, the more I realize that a backyard doesn't have to be wild to be valuable. Sometimes a little bit of habitat can make a surprising difference. And maybe that's why I enjoy watching hummingbirds so much. They make me pay attention. I can be sitting outside, thinking about a dozen different things, and suddenly one appears. For a brief few moments, everything else becomes less important. I watch the bird hover, I hear the wings hum, moving around the various plants, and then it flies away. I never know exactly when it will come back, and that's part of the fun. Every time I step into the yard, there is possibility I'll see something new. Maybe it'll be a male displaying that brilliant purple throat. Maybe a female will drop by and I'll see a courtship flight. And if I'm really lucky, there's a good chance one of the males will sit on a branch and allow me to get close for a minute or even two. The last few years have taught me you don't have to go somewhere spectacular to experience wildlife. Often you just have to sit still long enough to notice what's already around you. My backyard has become a place where I can slow down and watch a tiny creature living an incredibly energetic life. These amazing birds may weigh only a few grams, but they certainly make an impact when they arrive. The moment one captures my attention, I'm not thinking about anything else. I just watch. And I'm reminded that wonder often doesn't announce itself. Sometimes it's only a few inches long, moving too fast to see clearly, and waiting me to slow down. I hope you enjoyed this moment of looking through my space and seeing the hummingbirds, and I will catch you next time.